Hey guys, it's another Friday afternoon here at Stillwell Performance. We are here with a special edition of our Friday video series to talk about a project that we're doing for some guys, some good friends of ours from Rust Magazine over in the UK. And they've asked us to build two different bikes for them, complete with our A-Kit suspension. We're building a new Husky TE300 as well as a 200 KTM EXC. So we get to A-Kit out a set of open cartridge as well as a set of 4CS. So I wanted to show you guys where we're at in the build. We take a little bit of a different approach between open cartridge and 4CS when we build these projects. We'll focus on what we're doing for Warren's Rust Magazine open cartridge KTM 200 EXC here, which we just got back. We use coatings like we talked about earlier to really almost eliminate the stiction that you'll find in a lot of today's suspension. If you think about it, forks not only have to move up and down in some pretty extreme conditions, they also flex a lot. We did some testing with a couple of Endurocross pros a while back and found that at the axle lug, the fork can actually move up to a half, even 3/4 of an inch. So if you think about that, as the bottom tube is sliding through the top tube, those bushings are really getting stressed. And anything that you can do to reduce that stiction really makes the action of the fork a lot smoother and a lot more plush. So the guys at Rust Magazine said specifically, you know, build this for the riggers of World Enduro over there. Tough single track, a lot of roots, a lot of rocks, a lot of moisture over there compared to what we've got here in the desert. So we really focused in on their requirements. And the 200 EXC, for example, is a very light bike. So we're going to be very critical and specific about how we spring this bike. So with no further ado, I'll take you through each individual component and what we're doing to the build. We separate the lugs from the lowers. We send these out for DLC, which is diamond-like composite, and this is a process very similar to Kashima coat that is used on chrome surfaces and metal surfaces. This has been a standard for a long time. A lot of the NASCAR teams are using that internally within their engines because it really sheds off heat very well and creates a really stiction-free surface. So this is the surface that the outer seals are sliding against. You know, a lot of mud, dust, grit. So it's important to mate these up internally, but externally as well. So once these come back, we'll put these back together again. These tend to be a little bit of an interference fit, so this goes in the oven and this goes in the freezer, just like the good old days of putting your wrist pin back in your piston. They go together real nice, and as you can see, it's just a totally top quality finish. We mate that up with what we've been talking a lot about lately, which is Kashima coat. Kashima coat's a proprietary process. It comes out of Japan, and it's the only place you can get it. Essentially, what the engineers over there have developed is a very slippery anodizing process with a lot of special additives to it that allow it to have some lubricity qualities. What we will do is send these over. They're stripped down from any of the external anodizing coatings that come stock from the factory. They'll then do their process, and they'll actually hone these out to a perfect tolerance. You wouldn't believe how many, I would say, standard off-the-shelf suspensions come through here with tolerances off. One fork will be tighter than the other, and you can really feel it when you push up and down. So we know when we get these back that they're of perfect tolerance, and that makes a big deal as the bushings are sliding over here. Once we get our coatings done, we'll turn to the internals and what we're really known for, which is our valving and pro valve setups. We actually change out the pistons in both the 4CS and the open cartridge forks, as well as pretty much everything else we do on the WP line of work that we provide. We go to our pro valve piston, which allows a lot more flow, especially in the initial part of the stroke. We want that because a lot of times when you're just crawling through a rock or a rock bed or stream bed or something that has not a lot of traction, you really need that suspension to stay on track, absorb the obstacle, and keep you driving forward, not deflecting. So the pro valves allow us to do that. So we replace these stock pistons with our pro valve setup. We match that with our valving both on the base compression, rebound if it's needed, and certainly on the mid valve. And we tend to tie everything together to meet what the customer has asked us for. And in this case, it's expert to pro level, serious off-road over in the UK and in Europe. The other thing that we'll do is we'll replace the stock springs with some of our polished springs. If you think about it, even though there's oil flowing up and down the inside of these tubes, these shot peen springs tend to have a much grittier type of surface to them, and as they slide up and down in the tubes, it is something that's noticeable. So we replace these with real high quality springs that have a buffed and polished surface, and that again cuts down on the stiction. So once all this is done, it's put together, it's going to look just like this. This is one of our other magazine test bikes that we built, and you can see how everything's mated together. The other thing we'll be adding to both of Russ Magazine's jobs is our Pro Sliders. We came up with these Pro Sliders, and they actually are thinner than the stock nylon plastic collar that WP uses. What we found is that the stock collar really interfaces with this lower guard, creates a lot of stiction as that fork is flexing. So what we do is we've come up with our own material that we use. It's very, very slippery, and we also fit these so they'll spin. So as the lower fork guard contacts these, they can spin out of the way and reduce all of the stiction that you get in that area. So giving you a little bit of an overview on a Friday afternoon about a project, like I said, we're very appreciative and very excited for with the guys at Russ Magazine. So check out their issues. You'll be able to see their website on our finished video here, and give them a click. Bunch of good guys, hardcore riders like all you guys, and we're excited to work with them and get some feedback on this job. So as always, get out and ride this weekend and keep it pinned.